I don't need to go tell somebody else about what's frustrating me about my spouse. I need to go in love to my spouse and say, listen.
How we talk to our spouse and how we talk about our spouse, whether they're with us or maybe they're not with us, has a lot to say about our marriage. Because in marriage, we need to assume the best about each other. But what we've found in the work we do with couples is that so many times we nitpick, and we end up nitpicking in public, around our spouse, or at work, or even on social media. And what it does is it really damages our relationship, and it really makes our spouse not trust us.
Yes, yeah, both the words to and about. And I think the about part is a place to camp out, because some folks have this mindset where it's like, well, as long as I'm talking with general respect to my spouse, I can vent about my spouse to my buddies at work or to the ladies around the office, water cooler or whatever it is.
Yes.
But what happens is the more that we vent and have those negative mindsets that come out in our words, it really shapes the way we think about our spouse and the assumptions we're making about our spouse. And really, a lot of this does come down to choosing to make the right assumptions. Instead of when your spouse does something you don't like, instantly assuming they always are just thinking of themselves, or they're always trying to do this, they're never thinking about me. Instead, say, you know what, I'm going to choose to believe that they love me, that they're for me, that they're just as committed to this marriage as I am, but they have a different perspective on this issue, and that different perspective and personality largely is just part of how God wired them to be. And this is an area, like all areas of marriage, that we just need to communicate about, and to communicate with a lot of openness and respect and understanding and a desire to learn from each other and to realize we're on the same team.
Yes.
And so if I've got an issue, I don't need to go tell somebody else about what's frustrating me about my spouse. I need to go in love to my spouse and say, listen, when you did this, you might not have meant anything by it, but it made me feel this certain way, and it made me feel disrespected, and maybe like I'm completely off base here, but I just want to share what I'm feeling so we can talk about this and continue to just assume the best in each other.
And the more we assume the best of our spouse and we praise our spouse for the good things they are doing, and yes, I said praise your spouse. Sometimes when we're talking to couples, they're like, but he's a grown man. I shouldn't have to praise him for the good stuff he's doing. Or she's a big girl. I shouldn't have to tell her that she's great at whatever it is that she's doing. But the truth is that you need to tell them even more. The longer you're married, the more you need to praise them about the good things. Because here's the thing, is the more you praise them about the good things, when those times come up that you actually do have a concern, their ears are going to be ready to listen, because they know you've assumed the best about them. They know that you have their best interest in mind and in heart. And so they're going to listen and be like, wow, if she thinks that that's really an issue, I need to listen, and I probably need to change something about my behavior. But if you're always nagging, and if you're always complaining, and you're always telling them all the things they don't do well, they're just going to shut right down when you have another complaint or another issue. And it might be something that is legit, that really needs to be addressed. So be sure that there's more praising going on than any kind of criticism, because the truth is we are going to have things to complain about. We are going to have things that are issues that need to be addressed. But there are so many more things that your spouse is doing right. You only need to be looking for them.
So you need to be your spouse's biggest encourager and not their biggest critic.
Yep.
The world's already got enough criticism pointed toward us. Your home should be a place where there's so much encouragement, so much love, so much building each other up in love, as it says to do in the Bible, that in those rare moments where you do have to point those things out, that you've built up so much credibility through your encouragement. Because if your spouse genuinely knows you love them, you're for them, you like them, you're thankful to be married to them, and you believe the best in them, they're going to wholeheartedly want to listen to whatever concern you have. But if all they hear is criticism, then that nagging is all they're going to take it as just nagging, and they're going to shut down, and it's going to create a huge gap in your marriage.
It will. So homework for today, think about 2 things that you're so thankful for when it comes to your spouse, and then take it a step further. Thank God for those 2 things. And then take it even one more step further. Go and thank your spouse for those 2 very specific things. And I'm telling you, if you make that a weekly habit and then maybe even a daily habit, your marriage is going to be so much stronger and so much more enjoyable, and you're really going to put a smile on your spouse's face.